Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you the player ratings for Manchester United's 1-0 win against Norwich at Carrow Road. So I'm going to start with David De Gea. De Gea is getting a 9 out of 10. David De Gea got named Man of the Match. De Gea made some good saves in the game to deny Teemu Pukki. He also denied Kabak twice from 2 headers. To De Gea's credit, he's done really well so far this season. Moving on to Diego Dalor, he's going to get a 5 out of 10. Wasn't a really good performance from Dalor today. He was far superior in the games against Crystal Palace and Arsenal. Obviously Dalor had to start today's game because Bissaka is not available. Bissaka went off injured in the game against Young Boys midweek. Dalor, he got a yellow card in the game today. He was lucky not to get a yellow card in the first half for that challenge on Josh Sargent. Moving on to Victor Lindelof. I'll give Victor Lindelof a 6 out of 10. I thought he put some good balls forward at times in the game. Lindelof, he went off in the game with chest pains. Obviously he had difficulty breathing. Moving on to Harry Maguire, I'm going to give Harry Maguire a 5 out of 10. Maguire did have a good headed chance in the game, produced a good save from Tim Krul. Maguire misplaced a lot of passes and was struggling to bring the ball out from the back. Moving on to Alex Teles. Alex Teles is going to get a 4 out of 10. I thought he endured a poor game today. He did make some mistakes in the game. Teles though did have a good chance in the game from a free kick. It hit the crossbar. Teles was much better in the games against Crystal Palace and Arsenal. He also played well in the 1-1 draw with Chelsea at Stamford Bridge earlier on in the season. Moving on to Fred. Fred is going to get a 7 out of 10. He was probably our best player today. Fred's in scintillating form at the moment. Played well today like I've just mentioned. He played very well last weekend against Crystal Palace. He scored a stunning goal late on in that game. Fred also played well in the 3-2 win against Arsenal the other week because he got an assist in that game and he won the penalty. And he played well in the 1-1 draw with Chelsea earlier on in the season. You know, I'm hoping Fred can continue with these good performances. Scott McTominay, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. In parts of the game today, I thought he kept the possession well. Some of his passing was quite good. Bruno Fernandez, he's going to get a 4 out of 10. Fernandez was very, very poor today. Fernandez just got dispossessed far too many times. Obviously, Fernandez played in the game against Crystal Palace last weekend. He had chances in that game, but he couldn't convert them. Fernandez scored in the 3-2 win against Arsenal the other week. I think the last assist Bruno Fernandez got was the 3-0 win against Tottenham. He has endured quite a lot of poor games this season. Fernandez was far superior last season to how he has been so far this season. Moving on to Jaden Sancho, he's going to get a 5 out of 10. You know, Sancho weren't that good today. It's a shame, really, because Sancho played well last week in the first half against Crystal Palace, but he faded away in the second half against Palace. Sancho weren't too bad against Arsenal. He played very well in the games against Villarreal and Chelsea because he scored in both of them games. Sancho has scored 2 goals for the club so far. Despite his poor performance today, he still looks a better player than he did under Solskjaer. Marcus Rashford, he's going to get just a 4 out of 10. You know, he endured another poor game today. Rashford looked like sloppy on the ball and he got dispossessed quite a lot of times. To me, Rashford didn't look fully fit. Rashford was poor last week against Crystal Palace. I also thought he was quite poor in the 3-2 win against Arsenal, but he still managed to get an assist in that game. Obviously, Rashford was playing up top alongside Ronaldo. Moving on to Cristiano Ronaldo. He's going to get a 7 out of 10. Of course, Ronaldo won the penalty. Ronaldo obviously got brought down by Max Aarons. You know, Max Aarons' arm was on Ronaldo's shoulder. Was the correct decision to give the penalty? Maybe some people disagree with me. But anyway, Ronaldo took the penalty and he converted the penalty. That's 13 goals for Ronaldo in all competitions since he re-signed for Man United. And Ronaldo now has 802 goals in his career. Ronaldo today had a good chance in the first half. Produced a good save from Tim Krul. He also had a chance towards the end of the game from close range, but he put it over the bar. You know, that was a chance to actually kill the game. Ronaldo got dispossessed quite a few times in the game today. Obviously, Ronaldo played last week against Crystal Palace. He had chances in that game, but he couldn't convert them. He obviously got a brace in the 3-2 win against Arsenal, including the winner from the penalty spot. Substitutions got brought on in the game today. Obviously we saw Mason Greenwood come on. I'll give him a 6 out of 10. Obviously Greenwood didn't start last weekend against Crystal Palace, but he did come on in the game and he got the assist for the Fred goal. Greenwood did start against Young Boys in midweek. He scored a very good volley. It was a good cross from Luke Shaw. Not so long ago, Greenwood was out with COVID for a while. Van der Beek, he also came on in the game. I'll give him a 6 out of 10. And Eric Bailly came on in the game and I'll give him a 6 out of 10. Obviously Bailly came on to replace Victor Lindelof. Bailly played in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys in midweek, and Bailly put a very good performance out against Young Boys. You know, he made some good tackles and some good clearances. I think Bailly's made, 6 appearances so far this season. You've probably got to say he's done well in all the games this season apart from the game against Man City, because Bailly was very, very poor in that 2-0 defeat to Man City. So there you go. That is your player ratings for Manchester United's 1-0 win against Norwich. It was a very poor performance today by Manchester United. You know, revert back to what I mentioned on the match reaction. But all that matters is Manchester United got the win. And it's now back-to-back wins in the Premier League for Ralph Rangnick as Manchester United manager. Norwich, got to give them credit. You know, I thought they played very, very well today. You know, they made it very difficult for Man United. I thought defensively Norwich were good. Like I said, they had some good chances in the game. I think they created as much chances as Man United did. You know, they looked good in possession. They looked good out of possession as well. And I thought they passed the ball very well. So I think Norwich did deserve at least a point today. On another day, they would have got at least a point. Maybe they'd have won the game, you know, if it weren't for David De Gea. You know, Norwich are a very poor team. You know, they are bottom of the Premier League. And, yeah, I can assure Norwich are going down this season. Let's put into the equation, though. Norwich were missing players today. Obviously, there was no Zimmerman, you know, out with injury. There was no Norman, you know, he's out with injury. And there was no Milot Rashica. Brandon Williams didn't play any part today. He couldn't because it's his parent club, you know. Brandon Williams is on loan at Norwich from Manchester United. And as you all know, in the game today, Grant Hanley went off injured because he was involved in the challenge with Cristiano Ronaldo. Norwich losing Grant Hanley was a big blow for them. It was Dean Smith's second defeat as Norwich manager, because obviously revert back to last week, Norwich lost 3-0 to Tottenham. Norwich appointed Dean Smith in earlier on this season on a 2.5-year contract. Obviously Dean Smith got sacked by Aston Villa earlier on this season. Before Dean Smith, Norwich had Daniel Farke. Manchester United seldom lose to Norwich. You know, we have got a very good record against them. The last time Norwich beat Manchester United at Carrow Road was back in 2012. That's nearly a decade ago now. Manchester United played Norwich in the FA Cup last year. Manchester United won 2-1 after extra time. Manchester United have got some players out. Obviously, Varane, he's out with a hamstring injury. Paul Pogba's out with a thigh injury. Pogba is out for the rest of the year. I think Pogba's back in late January. Pogba got the thigh injury in France training earlier on this season. As you all know, Ralf Rangnick will not try to persuade Paul Pogba to stay at Manchester United if he wants to go. You know, Pogba's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back to the start of the season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract offer. Edinson Cavani, he's still out with injury, but he's very close to returning. Martial recently picked up an injury. Obviously, Pasaka is injured. And they're the injuries Man United have got. And Matic is not available at the moment as he's got a cold. So obviously Manchester United's next game is Brentford on Tuesday. The preview will be coming up for that at some point tomorrow. Manchester United are now 5th in the Premier League, reflecting on the 1-0 win against Norwich today. Ralf Rangnick needs to invest heavily in January if he is to succeed as Manchester United manager. Well, Rangnick has been given a £100 million transfer budget for January. 100 million will get Man United quite a few players. Now Rangnick has a Manchester United midfield plan. ESPN said the other day that Amadou Haidara, Jude Bellingham and Calvin Phillips are key targets for Rangnick. And Ralf Rangnick told bosses at Manchester United that their midfield is weak in his interview for the job. You know, Rangnick is Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season. Then after that, Rangnick will continue in a consultancy role for a further 2 years. You know, if Rangnick does well as the interim manager until the end of the season, there is a chance that Rangnick will get the Man United job on a permanent basis. I'm hoping Rangnick can win a trophy at Man United, because Man United have not won a trophy since 2017. Before Manchester United, Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. I can assure that Manchester United will get a permanent manager at the end of the season. You know, there's been quite a few names linked with the permanent role at Man United. Obviously, Erik ten Hag has been linked with a permanent role at Man United. Revert back to earlier on this season, it did say that Erik ten Hag is said to be interested in the Man United job, and Ajax will not stand in his way if he wants to leave at the end of the season. Edwin van der Sar recently spoke about Man United's interest in Erik ten Hag. And Van der Sar believes Erik ten Hag could leave Ajax in the summer. It recently said that Edwin van der Sar expects a future role at Manchester United. I'd love to see Edwin van der Sar come back to the club. You know, I like Edwin van der Sar a lot. You know, Edwin van der Sar's a former Man United goalkeeper. He endured 6 years as a goalkeeper. Van der Sar works as a CEO at Ajax. He's worked as a CEO at Ajax since 2016. Revert back to earlier on in the season, Rodgers was linked with a permanent role at Man United. You know, Man United made initial contact, but I initially disregarded Brendan Rodgers because Rodgers dismissed links to the Man United job. He come out and said that I'm proud to be at Leicester. At one point, though, he said that Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire. And that stirred some suggestions up because at that point it said Rodgers was the favourite to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Man United. Revert back to the other week, Mancini was mentioned as well. He said Manchester United consider hiring Roberto Mancini instead of Pochettino, but recently Roberto Mancini denied becoming Manchester United's next permanent manager, and Pochettino's been spoken a lot about. I still believe Pochettino is the favourite to become Manchester United's next permanent manager. Almost 3 weeks ago, Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer following the 4-1 defeat to Watford. You know, Solskjaer was the 4th permanent manager to be sacked since Ferguson, because Man United, you know, since Ferguson sacked Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho and of course Solskjaer. Next year, Manchester United are going to offload players. Martial, you know the news on him. According to Martial's agent, Anthony Martial wants to leave Manchester United in January because Anthony Martial obviously wants more game time. He's not getting nowhere near enough game time at Manchester United. Martial has only started 2 games in the league this season for Man United. The last game Martial played was a 2-0 win against Villarreal. He started on the left-hand side in that game. Like I said, Martial recently picked up an injury. Martial's only endured 1 good season at Man United. That was his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Manchester United got Martial for an initial fee of 36 million, rises up to around 57 million with add-ons included. He scored 79 goals in 268 appearances in all competitions. He's been at Manchester United for 6.5 years. Martial's got 3 years left on his contract. Edison Cavani, I think he's also leaving Man United next year. I think there's a good chance Cavani will go in January. Cavani wants to make a move to Barcelona. Well, it said recently that Barcelona are keen on signing Cavani in January, but only for the modest price. We might as well cash in for him in January because, you know, next summer Cavani's contract expires. It was back in May Cavani signed that 1-year contract extension. You know, Cavani's not available at the moment. He's out with injury. He had an injury earlier on this season. You know, Manchester United got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG, and this season is Cavani's 2nd full season at Man United. Cavani's got a good pedigree behind him as a player. Look at the amount of silverware he won when he was a PSG player. Not only that, he was a long-serving player when he was at PSG. Juan Mata, I think he's also leaving next year as well. I think Lingard's leaving next year. I'm hearing that Newcastle want Lingard, and I heard that Newcastle are preparing a contract offer for Lingard. Revert back to earlier on in the season, it said West Ham want to re-sign Lingard. Well, at the second half of last season, Lingard endured a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he made an impact, to his credit. And I heard earlier on this season that Lingard's interested in going abroad. Lingard's only started 2 games in the league this season. Not in the league, in the cup games. It obviously started in the game against West Ham in the Carabao Cup and started against Young Boys midweek. Revert back to earlier on in the season, the BBC said that Lingard's future at Man United is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. Lingard's contract at Man United expires next summer. If we sell Lingard in January, I reckon we can get around £10 million for him. There's a good chance that Van der Beek will be leaving in January as well. Van der Beek doesn't get enough starts at Manchester United. Didn't start today's game against Norwich, but he did come on in the game. Van der Beek did start midweek in the 1-1 draw with Young Boys. Obviously, as you all know, he was playing in an unfamiliar role. So he was the holding midfield. His performance was good against Young Boys in midweek, apart from the poor pass he made that led to the Young Boys equaliser. You know, revert back to when we had Solskjaer, you know, Van der Beek was not getting enough opportunities, and reflecting on that, Van der Beek was frustrated. Van der Beek's only scored 2 goals for the club, and he's been at Manchester United for over a year and a half. This season's been his second full season at Man United. Man United got Van der Beek for 40 million, with add-ons included. Van der Beek's got a contract with Man United till 2025. There's an option of a further year. Van der Beek's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Matic, I think there's a good chance that he'll leave Manchester United next year as well. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he still seems to get his opportunities, and surprisingly enough, he's been ahead of Van der Beek in our midfield. Matic is the only predominant centre defensive midfielder that Man United have got. Matic is out with a cold at the moment, like I said. He started at centre-half against Young Boys in midweek. He was poor against Young Boys because his passing was wayward. Man United got Matic from Chelsea back in 2017 for 40 million. Like I said, Pogba could be leaving next year. I think Teles and Dalor could be going next year as well. Jones and Bailly will be leaving next year. And Henderson's confirmed that he wants a loan move away from Man United. He might as well go out on loan because he doesn't really get in goal for Man United now, because revert back to last summer, De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back. Henderson was in goal for the game against Young Boys in midweek, but that was only his second appearance of the season. Revert back to earlier on in the season, Henderson was out with COVID for a while. At one point last season, it was towards the end of last season, should I say, that Henderson got that number 1 jersey. So there you go. So anyway guys, everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon.